Bienvenue, vous écoutez Le chemin et le but.
Ouh là là.
Today with you.
Emma, Christian et Cyprien.
We talk about many different things. For example, traveling, all the crazy experiences from crazy places around the world.
Yeah, meditation, vipassana retreats, spirituality.
But honestly, most of all, for me, talking with Sip is always just a quote waiting to happen.
It is. Sip is the best. We love him.
Hopefully you get a lot of motivational quotes and inspiration from this conversation, as we did. Yeah, he speaks a little bit about his music as well. So the link is gonna be down in the description if you want to follow his work now that he's back into mixing music.
Oh là là.
Which I'm super proud of him for doing again.
On y va. Hello, Sip.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
How are you?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, especially since 1 or 2 hours. It's nice to have spent time with you before, just to connect, like to be in the same mood and.
Yeah.
Usually we take about 1 or 2 hours to record, but the whole experience is maybe 3, 4, 5 hours,
Yeah,
like with
okay.
breakfast and after tea and.
Yeah, you feed your guest.
Of
Yeah,
course.
all to make us feel very, very nice and connected.
And I love spending time with you, so.
Yeah, win-win.
Perfect.
Win-win-win.
Okay, so for the beginning, can you tell us something about yourself? What would you say? Who are you?
Well, one side of me could say like I'm a young male, 30 years old, having no job, and no, I don't feel like that's who I am. Fuck, it's harder than I thought.
Don't worry,
Who I
it's
am.
a hard question.
Yes. Okay. I'm basically somebody who will deeply like others, and I feel I'm fulfilled, and I feel like in harmony when I can have a positive impact around me. So, which has sometimes like downside because you dependent on others. So if you have nobody to give or to share things, I sometimes feel like not really full wall. But basically it's like having a positive impact around me and make my surroundings a better place. Like for me it can be like for cooking for somebody or just talking with people, and by sharing my issues create like a safe space for them to share those issues with me. Just helping people. For me expression is a big part of my life, and I feel like I exist when I express myself.
Wow.
And if I can't express myself, well, it's my inner self, like there's a storm inside me. Like I feel like it's like when you eat, but like you're unable to digest anything. And to express myself can be through music, through words, writing, jungling, or even cooking, because thanks spices. Like you can express yourself in so many playful way. We just let the creative energy flow and like stay in harmony. Because if I shut the door and I sometimes like I think everybody, like if I feel that I can't express myself, it's like once again, like if you take in, and then like it's getting full and basically everything like start to fight each other like inside yourself, and it brings only confusion. So,
I appreciate
that's very interesting things. Like the question like who you are and how you see yourself. Basically it's like you could get the same answer, but like from a different approach. I see myself as a support, so I feel like I exist through other people, and also like I'm in a bridge. I'm a bridge. Like I have one foot on a side and the other foot on the other side, and sometimes it's hard to keep the balance between both, because like I really like, for example, high spiritual wisdom, but I also love sarcasm and dark humor and like very dirty humor way of expression. And sometimes it's hard like to when you have one foot on one side and a foot on the other side. I like both. Who am I? Like you sometimes stuck in the middle, and sometimes it's really easy to find like the harmony, and sometimes it's like, well, it's maybe time to choose a side. Well, no.
You don't have to, because you're everything, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also interesting what you started with. It reminded me of Into the Wild. How it finishes is exactly this. Like, I feel happiness when I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
Is what you said, something like that. So I feel this is the same idea. Exactly.
We watched it 2 days ago.
Oh,
No way!
Nice.
Oh, do you like it?
Yeah. Never watched it before. I was like, okay, you here. Like,
Nice.
the other challenge is like when you feel like you're living through others as a support, is also finding your own strength to be okay by yourself and not be emotionally or other dependent.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Nice. Beautiful. Okay, so you said you express yourself a lot through music and cooking and other stuff. So, what do? You said you're writing as well. What do you write?
Yeah, mainly at the moment just a diary. I don't have a big trust on my memory. I forget facts very easily, and like life is so rich at the moment when you're traveling because you're always around very flexible people from different culture, from different background, who can reinvent themselves and like not stuck in the roles they've been given at home by their like childhood friends or their parents or many inspiring people. And I really like being in this rich environment, like full of color, creativity, and go with the flow, like to do things you didn't plan, but just see how it feels right now. And like somebody shows up and like, oh, you're doing that? Oh, that's a great idea, I'm coming with you. And so you're leaving your house in the morning and just for one mission, and you never know like what this mission gonna lead, and like you just come back at 6 p.m. or sometimes midnight at the end of the day, like, whoa, 80% of my day was not planned, but wow, so many things happen. Like, okay, yeah, let's go to bed and let's see what tomorrow is bringing. Especially in Wakey, because these surprises and people like at every corner, and if you open to it, so many things comes to you. So yeah, I'm writing mainly to crystallize, to make sure that those memories are not lost. And I love the idea of like when you're 80 years old or 70 or 60, like, and you open the book and you're reading your life like 40 years ago. Wow. With like your emotions and like not just the fact, but how at that time you reacted to it. And sometimes I'm opening my diary. I wrote like at my first travel like 6-7 years ago. And I was like, oh, this fact happened, and like, oh, I reacted in a very childish way. Like, now I wouldn't give a fuck, but like at that moment, like, oh, I was very sensitive and I couldn't channel my emotion very well. So it's really interesting to see how like, oh, I reacted this way before, but I would never do it this way now. Like, I wouldn't feel so bad about this, or I wouldn't feel good about this anymore. So
you see your growth. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you imagine having children and reading to them, or to your grandchildren on your knees and reading stories of
your life?
Of grand-père Cyprien.
Definitely.
Allons-y les enfants.
No, yeah, definitely. I wouldn't read exactly what I wrote, but at least like I would like you're doing with your podcast. I will read it in my head and like say what needs to be said and give the rest for me.
Nice.
And yeah, but otherwise like some poetry sometimes, also some philosophical thoughts I have in my head. Writing it down is like putting some orders in it. It's like if your room is really messy, you have your you have your toys here, you have like everything is mixed up, and like basically I put it on paper, like just to take this idea, and organizing them together in order to make something coherent, out of it. And otherwise, like basically expression, as I told you in the kitchen before. There's some words are really limited, and there's things you can't express with word. That's why I like to make some music, electronic, and most of the time psychedelic. I like sweet melodies, but it always have some. It has to put some psychedelic noise or weird noise in it.
Do you have some place where you put all the music?
I have a SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I didn't practice. I didn't do it like the last 2 years because my computer crashed. I'd always found an excuse like, I will buy a computer. Enjoying so much not traveling with a computer and having more time to spend in the outside world. Yeah. But now, I really miss it.
Would you like us to link it under the podcast so people can find you?
No, definitely.
Nice.
Maybe a motivation to do something as well.
Yes.
To keep it updated. I mean, I would love to hear it. I love this kind of music, so.
Yeah.
And especially French, for me, from the last rave that we've been to, really impressed me. So I'm keen to hear more crazy stuff like that. Like
it's not super clean. Like it's a bit of like I always like played with. Like it's like food. Like a bit of this, a bit of that, and see what happens. But it's listenable now. So.
Yeah, nice.
But it's your expression. You're playing it. Nice. Do you sometimes also like work as a DJ? You mix music outside?
No, and that's next what I would like to practice more. Because I always been like, I didn't practice my live things. I'm more like I'm really like writing on a computer. Like you choose your word and like no, this word is not good. You remove it. You choose another word. I like having time to try different melody, try different sounds. Sometimes I just like have a list of 100 sounds, and like I know that at this time of the music I need like this kind of sound, and I'm just gonna try like 50 different sample, one after the other, and like this sounds good, okay, but I can find better. And I keep like just trying until like this one.
This is it,
And but I miss like it's nice to share your music on SoundCloud via a platform, through a platform. But I think when you produce music, one of the you doesn't cook delicious food like if there's nobody to eat it. Like, and the same way I think, well, except if it's for you, but but with art you like. The good thing, like the thing with art, is like you really want to share it with other people, and being able to DJ is one of the purest way to share your music. It's not like somebody who has to go on your page and click on the music.
You're holding the experience for them.
Yes.
Yeah, and the live as well. Like when people get together, it's one thing to listen through headphones, and it's totally another if you're with even 3 people and you're playing it, you know.
It's magic,
Let alone 100 people.
I would love to hear you.
Yeah.
Wow. But also, you know what they say? That even if you do art just for yourself and nobody will ever hear it or see it, angels are always watching your art and they enjoy it so much.
And that's true. Like so many times, like, and that's why I think it's really important to have fun when you practice your art. Because if you do it just for other people, then you're gonna have expectation of what's the wood like, or what's the and then you cannot really bring out your inner emotion or what you need to let go. One of my favorite track, I just did it when I was like in a sad moment of my life, because I was in love with a girl who she was not loving me back the same way I was loving her, and I was very disappointed and very nostalgic, not nostalgic, but a bit in a sad mood. And basically the first part of I started doing this music about melancholy, and in the middle of it really helped me like to deal with my melancholy, like to put this emotion, to put a sound on my feeling about what I was feeling inside me. And I think I was still in the middle of this track, and I decided to basically to tell her, but knowing that the answer would be no. But I was like so obsessed with her that I really needed to hear this no from her, like to move on, because it was not possible to move on otherwise. And so I asked her, she said no, it was a bit painful, but basically it helped me to move on. Then I finished this track, and the second part of the track is way more cheerful, and whenever I listen to this track, it makes me smile, because like I can see like, yeah, I was producing this music until now. Oh, and that happened, and you can see the transition in the track and in my life, like
Amazing.
Yeah, like both fits.
Nice. I get this so much, because sometimes we have to express something to heal it, to give the way to our energies to just deal with it and to heal it. It's amazing.
I think that's one of the most powerful lessons I got from my mother. I think I was not the first one, but one of the most powerful lessons I got from my mother. I was maybe 13 or 14, and really often, like, I was stuck in my head with some issues, or if I was in love with a girl, or if somebody did something to me I didn't really like, and basically it was like bringing me a lot of confusion, and I was easily stuck in my head with an idea or concept. And sometimes if it lasts more than a few days, I was talking to my mother about it, and while I was talking to her, in my brain I was like evaluating the situation. I was like, why am I talking to her about that? Because it's not that bad after all. And I was catching myself saying, okay, next time you show your weakness, or you make such a big drama about something, and then you have to talk to your mother, make sure it's really worth it. Like, don't put you in such an emotional distress about like such little things. And basically I thought I just misjudged the situation, but it took me like 3 or 4 times to realize that every time a big drama was moving to, it's not that bad after all, just because I was talking to her about that. So it was not that I misjudged the situation and it was not worth it, just the fact of putting words on it and telling that to her, and hearing my voice aloud saying that to her, that in the end I was just coming back to my senses, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not that bad. So, and I think I really kept this knowledge with me, like, and now every time clear and transparent communication really help wounds to heal like way faster and instead of like just keeping things for yourself. And that's why I think expression and art is so important for me now, because rather with words or just with sound or drawing, or because I really feel like every time there's confusion or a storm inside me, expression really lets the dirty water go out of yourself and purify the water remaining in yourself. Yeah, it's weird picture, but yeah, while if I shut the door and don't let the creative energy flow, and the water, when the water is muddy or dirty, it's hard to get clarity, I think, in yourself.
It's true. I think a lot of times in this podcast we already talk about it, that emotions, it actually just means something in motion, so you have to keep it in motion and keep it going and flowing, otherwise it's gonna get stagnant and it's gonna create blocks. And it's exactly what you're saying, to express it, to keep it in motion, to let it flow.
Okay. Emotion in motion, yeah.
Energy in motion.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
like, if you let it out, then it could go anywhere and bring you very far to your highest truth, or keep you very like clean and out of disturbance. But if you shut the door, creative energy gonna get accumulated inside you, and like a raging river, like it could destroy everything on its way.
Yes.
So.
What all would you consider as expression? Like, I know what you do a little bit, like you said, music and stuff, but also the physical stuff from juggling. And would you say that yoga, for example, is the same, or meditation? You know, because you're still. Is this still your expression, or just like letting the emotion flow, or is this another thing for you? Where do you have a line, or is just whatever I do when I'm not just stuck is expression?
I see it. It's two different things for me. But I think I just make a distinction just because meditation and yoga, I really do it for myself, and it doesn't need to be watched or listened. It's just something very personal. While expression or art is made like from, I took my emotion out of me, I channel it through words or music, and then I offer it to the world. While yoga and meditation is just like, I just took my emotion out of myself and just put them away. Like, I have to find the right way to say this.
It's connecting really nice what you're saying with what you started with, how your expression of connection in the world is through serving other people, so your expression of emotion is something that people can also see, sense, perceive, go through with you maybe, or sense it in their own way, but something that you do for yourself is purely for you and without thinking of anyone but you.
Because I made a distinction between what I want to show to other people and what I want to keep for myself. But now I think about it, it serves the exact same purpose. How I feel before yoga and after yoga in the morning, it's so obvious. Like, I feel so much more clearer and better after yoga. That's why I keep doing it every morning. I'm not really into like yoga or like this pose or this pose. I'm just like, I just know my sun salutations. I just do it every morning, and it's like a tool. I don't really care about getting better at yoga. It's just like how I feel before and how I feel after. It's like no way for me to not doing it, because there is such a big difference, and bring me like so much. It wakes my body basically, and my mind is way clearer after that. What you've said before make me think about what you want to share to the world, and for me, make me think about how transparency is really important to me, because nowadays, like, society encourage us to just show the best part of ourselves, and there's a lot of fake and pretend to be something or another.
Just choose the best moment, present like life is just good, or just the best, or just
and I think that's the worst you can do, because I was reading Facebook status a few days ago about a friend saying like, even if you're crying inside, just put a big smile on your face, because like everybody's suffering and they have already enough to think about with their own problems. I don't want to add my problem on the top of it. And I think that's actually the worst thing you can do, because you lie to yourself, so you lie to others, and by pretending like, no, I'm alright, look at me, I'm smiling, I have no problem. Well, if everybody thinks the same way, then everybody gonna suffer inside by their own, and put a big smile on their face, and you're gonna judge yourself so much harder, because like you can see only what's happening in yourself, and it's harder to see what's happening in others. And if everybody is smiling, you're just gonna feel like, wow, what's wrong with me? Like everybody's so happy most of the time, or at least like they deal so much better with the issue than I do. That's something must be wrong with me, and you feel alone, you feel disconnected from what's around you, because you think you're the only one suffering. And it took me a long time to understand that, but I felt so much better in my daily lives the day I understood like everybody's suffering, and I'm not the only one. I'm not just weaker than others because I'm emotionally too sensitive or I can't deal with my emotion. So it's selfish in a way, because it's when I understood, everybody's suffering, great, life is so much better now. But
you discovered you're not alone.
Yeah, exactly. And you can have like economic stability, or for me, for example, women were a big problem when I was younger. I was super shy and I couldn't deal with my emotions, and basically I was seeing like all these men who could seduce and were super at ease with girls. for them, like they were happy because like they look confident, they know who they were, and just when I realized, wow, even people who have money or all the girls they want or who look very very confident, we all have issue in ourselves. So basically, it's like, well, everybody's suffering. It's just like some people are better at pretending they're not.
And as you said before, when you're open with your issues, when you share your issues, you open a space for others to share their issues as well, and you actually create the space where we can all heal together.
Yeah.
But if we all pretend, then no one will be able to heal.
Yeah, you shut the door.
Yeah, exactly. The energy will stay inside.
It's funny how you talk about this, how we are supposed or how we are taught to behave or be. Because we are always going back to this, what is normal? Normal is just a bullshit illusion that we all participate in, while it's very distant from anyone, you know? Like, nobody's really experiencing normal. We're just pretending that we are normal or we fit in.
Yeah.
But if you take away all the things that we are pretending to be just to be normal, to fit in, everybody's also the same, but we don't call this normal. We call this weak or shy or bad or, you know? But I believe that if we take away all the bullshit that we put on top of the idea of normality, normal is gonna become very nice and beautiful and
like so natural in a way.
Yeah, normality is suppression.
Yeah. We normalize all the best stuff at the moment.
And that's why it's so good traveling.
Yes.
Because like your vision of what's normal and what's not was really, really narrow when you were still at home, because like your culture, basically your culture has a certain way to do certain thing, and suddenly you go to Asia or could be in Africa or like, and for the same things they deal with it. They have a different approach of it. They have a different way to solve the problem, and like for you when you arrive there, it's like, what they're doing? It's wrong. Like, we don't do that. And suddenly you find yourself in another culture, which do things very in a different way from your own culture where you get born, and like it's stretch your vision of what's normal and what's not. That truth or normality is relative, depends on where you are on the planet, and it makes me realize that's what's moral and what's legal are two different things. Like in a country, like in a certain place, it's gonna be okay. Like prostitution is gonna be okay. It's gonna be legal,
morally acceptable.
Yeah, and if you just move like 100 kilometers from this place, suddenly like it's gonna be illegal or immoral. So truth has a lot of things to do with space and time. 200 years ago, many things were accepted which are not now, and opposite. And if you are in this particular place in the planet, something's gonna be accepted, and if you move away from it and like you cross the border, so you are in a different country with different rules, this is not accepted. So for me there's a big difference between like natural law and human's law, or natural or God's law, universe law, and human's law. And I think like we get catch too much we give too much importance to the human's laws, which are relative, like
ridiculous sometimes.
Yes.
And changing, you know. So if we have something that's constantly changing, how can we claim that it's absolutely true?
Yes.
And I love what you said, that truth is changing in the time and space. You didn't say normality or what we perceive as our life is changing. You said the truth is changing, because yes, this is what I also believe. Just truth is so subjective to all of us. Like we see truth completely different than someone else.
Also, going from what you said, is just we are acting now kind of with this globalization that what we who come from Europe or whatever, you know, we are acting like we're gods, and we're saying, oh no, what you're doing is bad, and we are the, you know, providers of everything that's good and morally.
We're gonna help you.
Yeah, or, you know, just helping with anything. Like you do agriculture in your way for thousands of years, it's working for you, but no, we have the best technology, we're gonna work it out for you. And it's so harsh because we're doing it with laws, we're doing it with cultural integration, and just trying to put everyone on this ship of, you know, economic dependence on big corporation. But it's so harsh for me to see, because we're acting like the society we come from, all three of us, basically, is just like, oh yeah, we're the moral standard, you know, and everyone who's not at our level, even though we're selling like we're discussing bad things, like nothing that is human first, human-centered, emotion, heartfelt, but it's just this normality we created, so the profit is the bigger, and now we're acting like this is good for everyone, which is so destructive. I think this is the biggest thing that's wrong with this world. It's just somebody pretending they know something for someone else.
Yeah. Western culture is really good at that.
Yeah.
Like, because we economically superior to them.
Well,
by most of the time stealing their own their resources and just concentrating everything in our country. That's why we're supposed to be rich. We have the right to tell them like, oh, we're doing that everything so much better than you. You should do like us. And if you're not, well, we'll force you to do so. Cause we are the progress. Like we are the
first world.
Exactly.
I had exactly this thought today when we were sitting at the bank and I had nothing to do for 1 hour. I was looking at the posters around, and it was all of the advertisement was all for white family with 1 children, 1 father, 1 mother, with English underneath, and I was like, but we're on the land of Maori who are not white, don't speak English, you know, but still, like, Europeans came, had guns, they could do whatever, they said, oh, this is ours, and now we're acting like, you know, white people are indigenous people of here. Like, oh yeah, do as your ancestor did, or something like that, you know. We're acting like, yeah, European is the majority or whatever. So,
culture is a slow process. Like, how certain people, the way certain people behave, is the consequences of hundred of years of behavior. And like, for me, like, it makes me think about the plastic situation in Asia. Like, they had a certain lifestyle, and most of their bag or plate or cutleries were made out of natural
material
resources. So like, basically a plate, when they finished eating in the leaves of tree, like, oh, they just throw it in nature, and then there's nothing wrong. And then suddenly the Western society, like, just, oh, but no. Now we have so much, we more evolved than you, like, we're gonna bring plastic to you, because plastic is the way, is like, it's cheap, it's easy to carry, it's so practical. Have the plastic. And then basically they just took something and like forced another culture with different behavior to use it without providing the way of recycling it. Like, this culture just kept doing the exact same thing but with another resources, and this resource is like, takes hundreds of years to
but it's with everything, like, it's even more than this. It's like, you bring all the plastic, why? So that people who come to your country can eat fast and efficiently. Who are these people? Well, the white people who the money is going to anyway, you know. So it's on so many levels, even, you know, ecologically. Why are we ecologically so, like, nonchalant about throwing it away and just not caring about whatever consequences we're making today? Is because it's economically viable. It's very, very efficient for all the people at the top who get all the money. That doesn't really matter. When the time comes, somebody's gonna deal with it. But the whole system is set up in such a upside down way, I feel like, that, oh man, it's gonna crash. So nice, like,
so hard.
Well, I can't wait for it to crash.
Yeah, me too.
And I know we live in this the best time when we're gonna see how it crashes, and I'm so excited to see what follows.
Yeah,
I've been excited for a very long time and dreaming about this to happen, and now it's, for me, about to happen. It's bringing a lot of anxiety to me, because basically I was just focusing on like, oh, the system gonna crash and we'll come back to the roots, and like, it's gonna bring a new balance into this world. And I was not focusing about all the blood and fire we'll need to purify everything. And I'm very like, I think New Zealand is quite a safe place, but but even here, like, I'm afraid of what's gonna happen in big cities. And I have family in Europe, and I think big things gonna happen in the next year or next decade in Europe. Because if the system crash, means like the money gonna crash, and like money is not used in a very good way at the moment, but money is still like one of the best tools who make human exchange so easily, so easy, and suddenly if money is suppressed and people are not evolved enough consciously, like if their consciousness is not ready to move on, well, just people do not kill each other, because suddenly like you don't have money anymore, but I need food, how can I provide myself food? And then like when we see how people reacted with the COVID situation, like there was not even lacking of anything, but just they panicked, and they were fighting each other for very small things, and compared to what's gonna happen, COVID was absolutely nothing.
But for me, it's a beautiful just transparency thing, you know. COVID brought up everything that was hidden before. I believe that everything that is and was happening due to COVID is just exacerbation of what already was in place. So the things that we were doing, producing, the structure that were ruling our behavior every day, just came out to be like transparent, you know. Now we are somebody says fight for this and we're fighting for this, or discuss this and we're discussing this, even though it has no value to anything, it's not even important, but everything that's happening is just now so much easier to see. Before it was, for me at least, a little bit hidden. Now it's just, here it is, we're gonna say something, do something else. Transparent lives, you know.
I agree with you, but I still see that people don't see this transparency. People don't want to see it. People ignore it, kind of in a way. It's like nobody wants to know what is actually going on.
I'm hopeful. Slowly, we're gonna be forced to see. Or, I don't know. Like I have really no idea how else but to see and
like person by person.
Go beyond this. Yeah. Oh well. How do you feel from all that we've talked about? How do you feel about your home, or where do you come from anyway in France, and how do you feel about home as a country or as the idea, not necessarily going home or not, but just how does it play a role in your life now, and what's your relationship with idea of home or Europe even?
Well, now I feel like split it in two parts. Well, I'm from France, from Lyon, like the area. I'm not really a city guy. It's like my family and I were living like 30 kilometers from Lyon, which is the second biggest city in France. It's not too bad for a big city, but still it remains a city. I don't know, I feel very like a bit, I feel split apart because I'm still very attached to my home, because my family, my roots, my culture, well, the food I love, like just old buildings, like that's where I feel like, that's where I grew up, and I feel emotionally connected to it in a very strong way. But now I feel totally disconnected from the people who live there. Most of them are like, I feel split apart, because my France is still my home country, where my roots, my family are. All the histories, the old buildings, that's where I really feel home if I look around me. But now after traveled many years, like I feel very disconnected from the collective mindset over there. French people often think themselves as the center of the world.
No, we do
like, which like it's normal. Like everybody, you're the center of your own universe.
Of course.
But sometimes you tend to forget that other people exist in the same way you do, and I feel like sometimes France is an island, where that's why so many French people doesn't speak English, because like we don't need to, like we have everything we need in France, and like for me I see there's a kind of culture narrow-minded. They look what's happening outside from very far, and they're not really connected to what's happening outside of France. And for me, I think like would be very hard, even if I think that's my roots and I need my roots to digest all my traveling experience, come back to normality. Now I know I would feel disconnected with most of the people around me, because after experiencing all this variety of culture, and I know there is no normality. There is no, everybody is doing things in a different way. Suddenly coming back in a place where people say aloud and with so much pride, no, we do it this way and that's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel so much like, no, but shut up, like don't say anything, because otherwise it's just gonna bring conflict and like and yeah, so I'm a bit lost at the moment. Like I just, for the first time since in my life, since few weeks, I'm starting to accept the idea that I might not settle in France, or like I will maybe not make my life in France. It's like it's a place I always gonna be deeply connected with, because that's where I feel home. That's where my childhood friends are. Like that's where I grew up and all my foundations are. But I'm not sure I could find the right environment to settle down, and that's maybe not the environment I would like to raise my kids. Maybe it's my way of, because maybe I want to avoid conflict. I would feel like it would be too conflictual to go back to France.
Yeah,
At
it's
the
a
moment.
good point.
Yeah.
I agree with this part when you said that people are very narrow-minded, because in Slovenia I saw this as well. Even though I still feel super connected and I still want to live there, but I know how you feel, because it's hard to find the same mindset in a place where you've lived before traveling, because I don't know, not everybody goes and travels and see the world.
I feel very judgmental when I say like, oh, people in France are narrow-minded, and
It's not always,
but it's like the cavern allegory. When you've been outside and you know, well, by being outside I mean traveling and like accepting the idea that other culture do things or approach things in a different way than you do in your own country. Once you experience that and you know that everything is relative and like there's no truth, there is not one truth but a multitude of it. Once you experienced it, and it's just not thinking or reading about it, once you experienced it and you come back in the people who come back to people who used to live in a cavern, and they're not bad people, but they ignore this experience and they didn't went through it.
They don't know them.
Yeah. So their perception of the world is different than yours. Yeah, I find it very challenging to just remain yourself and not jumping into like, no, but man, you don't understand, like you didn't see what I saw. Like, no, that's the way of seeing things. I have my way of seeing things. Yeah, as we say, a part of you is just a view of a point. Like it's just a way to, like this glass, from where I am, I'm gonna see it a certain way, and from where you are, you're gonna have a different angle and see it a different way, but we're still watching the same thing.
Look, this one even better. What do you see?
I see a tall and pink glass with a straight line of darker pink in the middle of it.
I see a metal glass with a cat with flowers in its hair.
I see a metal pink glass with flowers.
Ta-da!
Wow, yeah, and we're talking about the exact same object.
Yeah.
But because we have a different approach from it. Oh, boom! Another one. Having a different approach. There's a quote I really like. When people ask what's the difference between science and spirituality, somebody said like, oh, basically they're talking about the exact same thing, but science is focusing on how, and spirituality is focusing on why. And they both try to explain life.
How and why.
But
always it's how and why. Nice.
Yeah. and that's why they should be friends.
Interesting.
And not.
I see science also as a religion, like a spiritual path. It's just what do you believe? Oh, I believe that scientific method is gonna provide me the answers. Whereas spirituality, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna learn about it, I'm gonna contemplate on it, meditate on it, and then I'm gonna find the truth. But it's just other technique of finding exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and they also blind belief in science, but it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
so much more
Exactly.
accepted that like you cannot even question it. It's like because human beings have like very limited perceptions, and we tend to forget that basically. I'm gonna take a random number, but like we might perceive like 10 or 15% of what's existing in the universe, because there is a range of sound. You can hear certain sound and not others, and it doesn't mean what you can perceive doesn't exist. Like this table, I know it exists because I can see it, I can touch it, I can smell it, and like I can perceive it through my senses, so I know it exists. And the problem is like the science is now like what you can perceive or through your senses or from scientific tools doesn't exist.
Yes.
But this is the thing, like not just you said 10%. In reality, just of the electromagnetic field, of which light is one part, or like light that we can sense is one part. Is I believe that less than 1%, much less than 1% that we can see. But even the instruments that we have are all based on our perception. So we just expand the eye through the all electromagnetic field. But there might as well on this table right now be something else that we cannot perceive, but it's another table or another being or another universe, we just have no tools.
If you look at ultraviolet light, we cannot see it, but we know it exists because it damages our skin. But you cannot see it, so...
Yeah, and then we draw a conclusion like, okay, now we can believe in that because it's scientifically proved.
Yeah, it's like...
from the 1% we can perceive.
Yeah.
But still the 99 other percent still affect every single aspect of our life, and we don't add it in the equation.
Yeah. And where I believe it's even more clear how science is faith-based is when you ask people of science or scientists, you ask, what's consciousness?
Well, this is a tricky one.
A lot of times the answer is just, this is an emerging property of a brain. So when you have a brain, a structure that is so complex and can go through a lot of data in the time that we go through, what comes out is a consciousness. Like we know that we exist, what's happening, and for example, you can say, oh no, like a cow is not doesn't have such an amazing brain that it can be conscious. So let's say it's not conscious, okay, because it's not telling us that it's conscious. And then you ask people like this, okay, but don't you see that the same amount of faith that you have for believing that consciousness is an emergent property is the same as if I say, there is God.
Who gave you consciousness? Yeah.
Or I am God, or whatever your personal belief is of anyone who's spiritual, So it's all the same, but nobody's gonna admit it. Like no science person will go, no, I'm a strict atheist, I don't believe in God, I think this is not provable, blah, blah, blah. But at one point, you have to believe, or otherwise it's just nothing. But on the other hand, I heard a brilliant point of how just anything that you do is based on faith. So if you believe that something is going to make your life better or more spiritually evolved or whatever it is, you do it. That's why we do all the things. But beneath it is a faith in something. So if somebody says they don't believe in anything, I say, okay, we talked about this with Josh. He said, but why don't you kill yourself? Like, doesn't it have no sense if you don't have a faith, like you don't believe in anything, ergo why not kill yourself? Like, it doesn't really matter. It's no point of being alive.
What if you don't believe in death?
Well, then you should kill yourself even more, no?
Everything is based on experiences we had, but we can also suppress experiences.
Yes.
Like the same way Charlie Chaplin was saying in the Dictator, we think too much and feel too little, because we try to we use too much reason to make everything that's logical or that's not logical, so it might be true or it might be not true. And even sometimes there's the normal way to deal with things. For example, I don't know, if you hurt yourself, you should scream or cry, or maybe hide that you're in pain. Like there's normal way to react, and because we all want to be normal or we don't want to be judged as abnormal, we're gonna react this way, even if somebody is really enjoying its pain, it won't show it to other people because it's
not okay.
It's not a good example.
But like you just said, sometimes it's not even us who are suppressing our experience and emotion, whatever goes with it. It's the cultural thing. It's the language.
Yes.
It's the way we communicate. It's the way we express. It's always with taking away some part. You have to choose what you express or which part you put out. And just subconsciously, it's always happening. Let alone culture saying it. Be strong. Be positive. Think only nice things, just smile and move on, stuff like this.
But now when we're doing a lot of nonviolent communication, I can see how our language is actually designed in a way that is not allowing you to really connect yourself with the feelings or really connect with the other people and take responsibility for yourself, because it's designed in a way that we push guilt to others or that we distance ourselves from our feelings or from others or from anything that is natural to us. So we ended up not being connected to ourselves or connected to our feelings or to others.
Yeah.
It's the simple stuff, like, you make me feel sad. No, I'm sad.
We just talked about it before.
Stuff like this, but anything, that you say like this, if you say you, whatever it is, it's always, you just use a word that's taking away your power, It's like, but I'm not conscious of it, it's just the way I speak, like, I'm sad because of you. You made me sad. But this is very simple example. It's very tricky. Like in a lot of things you have this. Or like you said, sometimes you hurt yourself and you don't feel bad. But as children we learn that you feel bad, you should scream, you should cry, you should feel bad. Yeah. It's just a wound, Then it depends. Does it hurt or doesn't it? Or what do you need at this moment? Yeah, we never go this far, We just stop it. Something happens, you should react this way. Or if you don't, you should shame this person. How are you not sad when your grandma died? But I'm so happy for her, she wanted to die. You see, it's like people are saying the culture is like so deep in us that people are like, but aren't you feeling bad? Yes, but no. What I mean? It's so weird, so messed up.
Yeah, when I was little, I was caught stealing something. I was 12 years old. And I felt super bad. Like I knew it in that moment that I will never do it again, but I felt so bad, but there was no tears or anything in me. It was just, okay, this was so bad, I'm scared I will not do it again. But I felt like I really need to cry, so that people will see that I'm really sorry. So I made myself cry. I really used all my power to put the tears in my eyes, because I was in a shock, and also I was just sad. I didn't want to cry. Maybe. I didn't want to cry at all, but I forced myself to cry because I thought this is gonna be the acceptable reaction to being caught stealing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that you feel sorry.
And that I feel sorry, and then they will know, she's really sorry, look, she's crying. But it was bullshit crying, but...
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
I think we don't value our emotions, our feelings enough, in a way that sometimes we just suppress themselves.
Yeah.
Like, even if you feel a certain way, you won't accept it, because like the normal way of reacting is experts or psychologists say like, in this situation you should feel this way, and then you're gonna force yourself feeling a certain way.
Yes.
And not being conscious enough aware enough about what's happening in your body. Like, actually, I'm not feeling this way. Could be like, for example, just smoking, because less in New Zealand, but especially in France, smoking is cool. So it's supposed to make you feel cool. And for me, it was okay as long as I was thinking, that's cool. Then I was feeling alright when I was smoking. But now when I got rid of this fake idea, like now every time I'm smoking a cigarette, I don't feel cool anymore. I just feel poison inside. But before I could just not thinking about this poisonous feeling inside me, because my brain was sending me the signal like, no, you're doing something cool.
Yeah.
And you're attracting people.
Yeah.
And now I'm living in a different environment where smoking is not seen mainly as very cool, as even like it's a dirty thing. Like I feel more dirty when I'm doing it, and that's also another subject how your environment is shaping you. You are yourself, like you have your enough strength and your own beliefs, but according in which environment you're gonna live, it's gonna shape you a certain way. Like I was always amazed, like how when I was traveling, I could I could feel I was like shining, or I could express myself as I could express my truth way more easily, and I was more genuine and open. And every time I was going back home, after 6 or 7 months, I was back in my old habit patterns, which was not very positive for me. And I was like, wow, who are you? Like, because in this place, it was so easy to express and to shine. And like now you back here, and you feel like, well, you back being the little kid of your mom, or like you fall back in the role your friends were giving to you. And it just, so I was wondering like, oh, so all your evolution or all, everything which changed in you, it didn't really change. It was just like you were expressing this way because you were in this environment. And now, and it took me a while to understand like, what's in me is in me, but is also like is being shaped by what's around you. We exist in relation with our surrounding.
You said you traveled a lot. For how long are you traveling now?
This time I left home February the 5th, 2019. So it's 2 years and a half, I would say.
And before that? Did you travel before as well?
No, I left home for the first time to travel by myself in 2014 to Australia for a year. Then I spent 6 months in Asia. I went back home for a year and a half. Then 2017, I think I left for 6 months in Nepal. I came back home for maybe a few months, and then like I came back for a girl who I thought I was really in love to, and a few months later we just broke up. So I was like, okay, but she was the only person like who made me back to come back to France. So I just took time to heal myself and like just starting traveling again.
Nice.
And then which lead us to 2019. I went to India for 7 months, and then it was supposed to be 2 months. And because I have 3 places I wanted to visit, and in 2 months, and after 2 months I didn't even leave the first one. So I was like, okay, I need some extra time. And then after a while I was like, but my plan was to go to New Zealand, and India was just like kind of holiday or adventure.
First stop.
Exactly. So in August 2019 I was like, okay, now like it's time to go to New Zealand. And I was in need for to have a Western life again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. What did you do? Well, not what, but how did you do in India? What was the lesson you took from it? You still have something with you that was shaped by it? Because I hear, especially India, for a lot of people, is the place where I started this big part of my life after India, or I learned this, or it was the worst experience of my life. But it's always something. It's never just, it was a nice country, but...
It's a very intense country in a way that... Basically for me it's a country of extremes. You jump from an extreme all the time. It can be like about rich and poor. Like you're gonna have a super rich building, super clean, with a beautiful architecture, and then walk 100 meters and you're gonna have rooms with people living in the middle of waste, poo, and like for the smell, you're gonna smell incense and amazing food, and 100 meters later you're gonna smell like piss and poo and garbage. You're gonna make like the very disrespectful people, and like would just see you as a wallet with leg, and don't care about you. And then 100 meters later, like you're gonna meet like somebody so genuine and so innocent, like, and basically you jump from an extreme situation to another all the time, which is very tiring for the brain. So that's why like some morning you wake up and like, oh, I'm hungry, but I don't even want to leave this my space because
I'm having
like
a good time.
yeah, because like as soon as I'm gonna put a foot on the road, I'm gonna like, oh, it's gonna be dust or something, like something gonna happen, and like yeah, it's gonna be like it's a storm basically. But so it takes maybe 1 or 2 months to get used to it, but then once you accept it, then you become stronger emotionally and mentally, because you know better how to deal with certain situation. And that's why like I've been always make me smile when people like think like, wow, like India must be like, India is a very spiritual place. They think India is a very spiritual place because they believe like, oh, every Indian is doing some yoga and meditation in the morning, and you're learning so much about spiritual practice. And no, like India make you like, is a very spiritual place because you have to face some shit, like you have to face some very uneasy situation, and it bring to the surface your own shadow. You always lived under the illusion that, oh, in this situation I'm gonna react this way, because Western life is quite a safe place, like stable, and there's a lot of safety. You never encounter this situation, and like traveling in India make you encounter such a situation that basically you can actually check if you really reacted this way once you're in this situation. And you have to deal with so many, like there's not such a thing as personal space in India, so you're always surrounded by people very close to you, so it really teaches you to hold your space. Like I remember when I arrived the first time, I spent a few weeks over there in 2019, and the first time I arrived there, I wanted to live for cheap, so I was not going in a touristic places, but just I was in a place where maybe in a week I think I met like just one white couple. So I was the only white guy in the street, and I could see like wherever I was walking, everybody was staring at me, and sometimes like in a very intense way. And in the West, you don't stare at people like for too long. It's very impolite. You don't feel at ease. So I was avoiding contacts, and basically people, especially like men, were looking at me in a way like I didn't know what they were thinking inside. It was like, oh, who the fuck is this white guy here? Like I don't know if it was aggressive or just like, oh, very curious, like, oh, who's this guy? And I couldn't hold the space. I couldn't like stare at them back. And after a while I was like, oh, but you have nothing to be ashamed from, like. So it really taught me, or like after a while, like I was like, yeah, they look at me, well, I look at you, and most of the time, like after maybe 10-20 seconds, they were smiling, but and most of them. And while like at the beginning I was so scared that I was avoiding the eyes contact, so I was still in the idea like, wow, what do they want, like, do they like, and it's kind of it's like if once they saw like you were not, there was not a wall between you and them, and you shared like maybe a 10 or 15 second eyes contact. So I'm like, yeah, okay, they're like,
nice.
Chill.
yeah, I don't know, like, and for me it's really helped me to face the situation, like to not running away from a certain situation. No, yeah. The point I wanted to make with India is like, when you've never been there, yeah, like, and you see people going there, you feel like, oh, these people gonna grow spiritually by hearing like beautiful wisdom, having beautiful practice every morning, eating well, and meditation, and the things. And I was one of them before, saying like, oh, Indian people have such an old culture, and with Ayurveda, and like they must be so full of insights, and then, but I found myself growing spiritually and even like emotionally just by facing very uncomfortable situation, and like which nothing to be with being a hero. Is like sometimes you just feel very dirty, or like you feel disrespected by somebody who didn't value you as a human being, and just the feeling inside you feels so so wrong that it's like, oh, okay, that's who I am, like, and make you find your own stability and your own like strong foundation inside you, because like so many situations are uncomfortable because like no social space, or because you've been disrespected by other people, so you have to strengthen yourself, to not be too dependent on, like, you build a kind of, not a shield, but you learn how to protect yourself. And while before I was really affected by people staring at me, now it's I got used to it. And because when you think about it, like, why should I feel so uncomfortable just because somebody's looking in my eyes? Is like, yeah, it's intense, but I shouldn't feel weak or ashamed of looking somebody in the eyes.
Oh, Sip, do you maybe remember when was the first time we met?
Yes, you were eating close to your cow in Lunasa.
We met even before, the two of us. It was on a workshop, and the first thing we did was we stared in each other's eyes for like 30 seconds, and that's all.
Did we talk?
No, just that.
In the Tantra?
Yes, Tantra.
The ecstatic Tantra,
yes.
Tantra presence.
Yeah.
Renexu. Yeah.
Renexu, yeah.
Oh, this woman was just amazing.
I know.
Is amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that has been like this workshop, the ecstatic Tantra presence, and the Matthew.
Oh yeah.
Matthew
Right,
workshop.
so, yeah.
Yeah, brought so much to me, like just very powerful.
So what, from India you're saying that you learned the most or anything from the hard experiences, not from the beautiful birds flying around and eating nice breakfast while doing yoga?
Just by walking in cow poo and by having to face the dust and the dirtiness. Yeah, for example, having all those little kids like looking at you so desperately, like, oh, money, 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 like asking for money, and like, well, we always have this picture of the good Western guy, like, oh yeah, here, take some, like,
some candy.
Yeah, some candy, and like, and then like you just, but then like once you're there, you know that's one of the worst things to do, because if you make them think like, oh, they can actually live their life by begging or asking things, you give them the proof that they could do it, and so you have just to, you don't have to. But in a way, like, I force myself of like watching at them, I say, no, I won't give you anything, and just facing this dirty world, like where people live in such a misery, and there's things you can do about it, but just being nice in the street and give them candy or money is not the nice thing to do. Yeah, I guess it's easier said than done, but yeah, like school or proper education, if they have access to it, and I think in India there's like many ways to have many association to help poor people. You can try to make them understand, like, no, it's futile, because they're like, no, but you should go to school and learn how to
do anything.
Yeah, or maybe not at school, but you should learn a skill.
Yeah.
And at least maybe like street performance, it can be seen as begging for a while, but like doing art to entertain people is not begging. Like you receive something from people, but you give something. And yeah, like I think sometimes the best way to help people is not to give them what they need to receive, but to let them do something by themselves, and not like,
not to give them the fish, but to teach them how to catch a fish.
Yes. Exactly. Because like, as long as if you give them the fish, they're always gonna rely on you and like ignore their own strength and their own like potential. Yeah, that's I think it was Alan Watts. The real master is not the master having the biggest number of students, but is the master who produce the biggest amount of other masters. Because like it's really easy to keep the student relying on you for your own wisdom and always like hiding the truth who's gonna set him free, because you still want to keep him, and because he give you money or it make you feel important. But yeah, it's like making people not rely on you, and yeah, that's something I'm trying to work on, but I get stuck for so many years being like seeing myself as a nice guy. That's even like it's really hard for me to help to disconnect myself from this picture of, because you want to be loved. So sometimes you do what people expect from you, or for example, like I'm not saying if I think about something about somebody and I know that hearing it would help him to realize something, if I know this is gonna hurt him or her, I'm not always telling it. While if I'm really like, if I really want to be supportive to people, it's also like putting your own ego aside and accept that they might dislike you for saying that, but on the long run, it's gonna give them the spark to like, wow, because sometimes when something is true, it hurts you more than when you know it's not true. And we don't always want to hear the truth.
Of course, I think this is also part of non-violent communication. It's telling this truth in a way that's not about you, but it's about the message, you know. So you say, look, I'm not against you, and I want you to hate me or anything. It's not, I'm doing it because I don't like you. It's just, I feel, and that, I don't know, whatever you do is, in a way, blah, blah, blah. Whatever is your message, but
they're still gonna suffer.
But
you can give them compassion and empathy and listen to them while they can express and let everything out as a reaction. But it's at the end it's their work.
I think because if you do it the wrong way, they can still channel the suffering into you and like staying blind by like, oh, this guy is just asshole or dickhead because like I don't like the way he say that to me, and like he's so judgmental, and then don't realize the real reason why they're suffering is because it triggered something in them, and like they know there's a part of truth inside. Well, if you don't give them anything to grasp on you, like because you made your point that's I don't want to hurt you, like it's for your own good that I'm telling you that. And if you do it correctly, because sometimes the intention is not enough.
It's a bit of technique.
Like if they find themselves, oh, like what he said to me really hurt me, but well, why am I suffering? Because like he did it in a very loving way, so they have nothing to grasp to put their suffering into you, or you're not the guilty one. I mean, if it's still triggering me, or if I'm still suffering from it, it's because of the message itself and not the truth. The message itself and not the person who told it. So I'm really keen to learn more about that.
I'm excited as well.
Yeah, deep stuff. But really profound stuff that you shared.
Amazing.
I love this, like all this ping pong discussion. Like somebody says something and like it makes you think about something. So like, it makes this, and so you said it, and it's like sends a ball to you and like make you think about something else. And sometimes you end up saying things like you didn't know before the conversation started. And like, I had this experience with a beautiful Japanese guy in Australia. Like every single time we start talking, like it always lasts minimum for 40 minutes or 1 hour or sometime an entire afternoon, just because like we're just like exchanging, and like I was saying something and like it was like inspiring him and he was answering me back, and like we're just answering to each other all the time. And like we're going so high, like it's like a spiral thing, always going up, and at the end like, but you go out of your mind, you lose your senses, and you just not in automatic mode, but you let words go out of you, like you think aloud, and like suddenly you come back to like, whoa, what am I saying? Like, wow, I've never figured out that before. Like, where does it come from? It was not in my storage, in my brain storage. And it made me think that idea just passing through. And when you connect with somebody with special, I don't know, vibration, energy, in the same mindset, and you open to it, and you not like just put the shield up or what are you supposed to say and what you're not supposed to say, but allow the idea or the thoughts to flow and to express them aloud. Beautiful things can happen.
Also, this happens to me when I'm writing as well. I'm writing, and then at some point, like, oh my god, it's like I figure out the whole new world just by writing it. And if I would think it, I would never come to the same conclusion, to the same stuff.
So there might be like a similar process in it, like
happening.
Because when you're thinking, you're talking with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So and
Amazing.
writing it down,
it makes it more. I have to compress it a lot. I mean, because you cannot write everything, and maybe it's like talking with the universe when I write it or something.
reorganizing your thoughts.
Yeah, reorganizing my thoughts.
Something I learned in Vipassana practice I found really useful and brought a lot of insight. It was like how basically experiencing your own truth. So basically in a Vipassana meditation, well, I received it this way, but like they teach you that there is always a kind of the same process going on through your body or your mind body. It's like there's first the thoughts, then the thought's gonna create a sensation, because you're gonna label your thoughts, and like it's gonna create a sensation, the sensation gonna create an emotion, and then the emotion is gonna create, well, an action. And if because we label everything, like good or bad, it's gonna like some thoughts gonna create a pleasant sensation or unpleasant sensation, and according to this sensation, if it's a pleasant emotion sensation, it's gonna create a pleasant emotion. If it's unpleasant sensation, it's gonna create an unpleasant emotion. Like if I don't know, if I think about an ex-girlfriend I had who broke with me like in a very not really nice way and like very violent. Yeah, basically, if I have a thought about something will make me feel guilty or weak, it's gonna create like a body sensation, and this body sensation is gonna, for example, boiling, like I'm gonna feel heat, and then like from this sensation gonna arise like an emotion like anger, and because the anger, I'm gonna let the anger control me, I'm gonna act like blindly and or unconsciously. What I like with Vipassana is like it teaches you how to be very aware of what's going on in your body, and then like even before you let, it's not about controlling the emotions, because you can't control your emotions because you can't control your thoughts, but it's more about not letting the emotions or the thoughts controlling you. So the more aware you are, the more able you are to catch the thought or the sensation or the emotion before it produces the action. And so it's not about becoming a vegetable like with no emotion or like just very very flat and like very equanimous and like no, you don't smile anymore because you, oh yeah, I can feel I'm happy, but no, I don't like the action. It's more about like you get more freedom because you're more aware of, you don't act blindly anymore unconsciously. And sometimes it's so funny that you start feeling an emotion is like oh yeah, and you just connect, like you focus on something is going on in your body and like, oh yeah, I have a ball in my solar plexus, and like just by observing it and being aware like, oh, I have this sensation, oh, that's why I feel very insecure or at ease at the moment. It's just a body sensation. And because like there's always a little voice, which is hard to ignore sometimes, like, well, basically there's sometimes the little voice make you gonna feel like shit. Like and worth. Oh, you're a piece of shit, or you're not really, it's gonna make you feel weak. Yeah. But it's just a thought, and because you have these thoughts, you're gonna feel like very at ease, and because you feel at ease, you're gonna believe that, yeah, well, I feel like a piece of shit, so I'm a piece of shit. Well, it's just a thought. It is just everything started with a thought, and you made the choice, which is like conscious or unconscious, to believe what this thought, the message. But like it's just a mental construction, it's nothing else. And yeah, just by, I think, being more aware of what's going on in my head or in my body, I was more able to put more distance between this little monkey voice and who I feel I am. So yeah, most of the time the thought is just a judgment or label, and you don't have to take it as what the expression?
As reality.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really helped me to redefine myself. I think that would be helpful for many people, just to make so many unconscious patterns become conscious. So it doesn't mean like you're gonna solve all your problem, or I'm still going through emotional storms, or even like I can't control my brain. Some days my thoughts gonna be very stormy or very confused, but I know that that's what's happening right now, but it's not who I am. It's just it's part of the whole process, it's part of the big picture, but it's gonna pass. So yeah, sometimes how I feel is not who I am. It's just I'm feeling this way now, and that's the part I think of when the Buddha talk like we live in illusion, is because like the illusion is the body sensation, like we are wired to a certain thought with judge negative gonna produce a certain sensation, and once you unwire this, the same thoughts won't make you feel a certain way, like the same way as before. I'm trying to make it short because I have two very interesting experiences. The first experience was at my first course, Vipassana course. I think it was on the 6th or 7th day.
Could you explain what Vipassana is, or how
Yes.
you experienced it? Shortly, so everybody's clear.
So basically, the Vipassana retreat, as taught as Goenka, which is supposed to be the closest version to what the Buddha was teaching at his time, was it's a 10-day retreat where you don't speak. Basically, you don't have any entertainment. You're not allowed to read, you're not allowed to do exercise, you're not allowed to write, not to speak, basically anything except sleeping, eating, and meditating. You can walk in the garden during the breaks, but like most of the time it's a very boring, simple garden. And basically you because you can't entertain yourself, you really you're alone with yourself. There is no like, sometimes you have some thoughts you have in your head and you don't want to focus on those thoughts, so you're just gonna switch on the TV or open a book or go to see your friends to talk about things and have a drink, and this time you're not allowed to do that. So whatever comes to in your head, you kind of have to face it because you're alone with yourself. And so like during these 10 days, you meditate between 10 and 12 hours a day, and during this 10 or 12 hours of meditation, during the first day, you're allowed to move and to find, like, during meditation, to find the best position, and at the 4th day they teach you the real technique of Vipassana, which is basically body scanning. And so you sat in silence as always, and you focus on the sensation, what you feel in your body part by part. And basically during this 10-12 hours of meditation, there is 3 hours a day, once in the morning, one afternoon, and one of the evening. When they ask you, they call it strong determination meditation. It's like during 1 hour, you have to try your best to not move your legs, your arms, or open your eyes. And that's the most challenging part for, well, most of the people, because you have to learn how to deal with pain. Like, for everybody it's a different part of the body. Some people it's in the back. For me it was in my knees. And to stay still and not, they want you to stay equanimous and not react to thoughts or to sensation. And because we live in a world, we encourage you reacting to everything, social media, or like as soon as you see something, you have to react to show, like, so I react, so I am. Like, yeah, like you have to, and basically, and people who doesn't react are seen as like they're boring. Like they don't give anything to. They don't show their emotion. They don't. And suddenly, like you were in a situation when you are trying to not react to anything, to your thoughts or to, and when your knees are killing you, and you try, your whole body like is urging you like just move, like let the pain stop. Well, it's the brain can use like so many tricks to make you move, like just through thoughts once again. And basically the teacher is telling you like most of the pain is in your mind. You feel it in your knees, but it's not in your knees, it's in your mind. Because wow, that's the teacher, that's the expert. I was like, well, I choose to believe him. It's a blind faith. I'm aware of it, but he's so much experienced than me, so he should be right. But the thing is, but inside I was feeling the whole time like, yeah, okay, I can accept this and this, but like, no, like the pain is in my knees. Like, it's so painful at the moment. Like, stop saying it's in your mind, because no, I can feel it in my knees, and it's no way. It's just because I was thinking like, oh, it's in my mind. It's just illusion, or it's just my imagination. No, I can feel the pain. It's not my imagination. And they were also saying like, yeah, don't worry about it, because sensation like thoughts are just passing by. And I wanted to believe in it, but my own experience was proving me the exact opposite. Because like, well, the pain doesn't pass. Like, it passed only when I move my legs. So it was, I think, on the 6th or 7th day. And it was one of these 1 hour meditation. And after 35-40 minutes, it was always becoming very painful for me. And the 20 last minutes were lasting hours and hours. Like, but I'm very proud. And I didn't want to be a loser. So I was like, no, you won't move, like, whatever. Well, you're not enjoying the pain, but like I don't want to feel like a loser. So I won't move until the end. So I was trying to not focus too much on the pain, and suddenly like it was one of the most painful meditation like day I ever had since the beginning. And suddenly I didn't move or anything, and the pain in my knees went to 80% to 0%. Like, it just disappeared. Suddenly I was like, whoa, what's happening right now? Like, I could still feel my knees, but like all the tension and all the pain were just gone. And so first realization was like, wow, the teacher was right. Like, the sensation of thought they're passing away. They're passing by. They're not like, what I feel now is gonna pass by. So I shouldn't worry too much about it, because it's impermanent. So I was kind of very glad. But the most amazing thing is, like, since that happened, like, I never experienced pain again the same way as before. Just because before it was something I was perceiving as the truth, what the truth the teacher said, and the truth became my truth because I experienced it. It was not like just something of blind faith, but because I experienced this truth in my body, I make it mine.
Knowledge.
And basically, just because the brain knew that for sure, like all the rest of the time, all the other meditation I did, the pain was always appearing after 35-40 minutes. But as soon as the pain was appearing, because I had a different relationship with it, I knew like, okay, the pain is coming back, but well, it won't last, so I was not worried about it. So basically the pain was like just so much less painful. And it was funny because it's just the brain. Basically, part of the pain was due of the tension in my knees, but my brain was making it worse by like, oh, make it stop. Like, I was too focused on it and labeling it as painful and unpleasant sensation that once I experienced in my body, like, oh, I knew it would pass away. I was not worried about it anymore. And the pain was like not very painful anymore. I was just amazed how the brain could change your sense of reality. Like, until now I was always like, oh no, the pain is coming back, and like I'm gonna have like 20 minutes of suffering, and I already knew what's gonna happen. And once I experienced like, oh, it disappeared, and like nothing to be worried about it, I was not worried, and the physical sensation was not the same as before. just because the mind just understood or grasped something. I found this experience very, very interesting.
Amazing. What's the other story?
It has something to do with labeling sensation. That's on my second class of second Vipassana retreat. Because like in between I used to meditate 1 hour a day. So it became very like, now I can meditate 1 hour without having any pain because my body and my mind are used to it. So I could like I was meditating 1 hour a day without feeling any pain. And suddenly I was back in the retreat, meditating 10 hours a day. So the pain came back and I was not used to having pain anymore, so I had to restart the process once again. But already knowing that it would pass, so my life was more easier than the new student. And basically I was like, my knees were really painful at one moment, once again more than usual. And I knew like I still have like 10 or 20 minutes to meditate before the end of the session, and it was so painful that my thoughts was like, oh no, like please, I want the gong to open right now, I want to stop meditating. And like suddenly I catch myself like focusing too much on my thought and labeling this emotion. And I just, a sentence the teacher said before, I was like, you feel, because you label such one sensation as painful or not, so it's gonna happen. And I was like, oh wait, like until now I was experiencing pain in my knees, and I just decided consciously like to pay closer attention to why am I actually feeling in my knees. And the second after, like something really strange happened. The sensation stayed, so I could still feel the tension in my knees, but the pain stopped. So like the first experience was like the pain vanished and the sensation changed. So from tension I could feel like something very warm in my knees, but this time it was different. The sensation kept being the same, but my perception of it was totally different. So it was like I could still feel the tension, but I was not relating the tension to, oh, it's unpleasant sensation, it's pain. Just, sometimes it's like, it's coming back to what the society telling us to think, or to, if you don't pay close attention to things, sometimes like you have an experience, but from this experience, because you know you're supposed to react a certain way, you won't really connect with, oh, what am I feeling actually? Like, you know that you should feel guilt in a certain situation. So if you fall in the street, for example, you're gonna feel like guilty for like, or weak, shame. Shame, thank you. Because your brain is like, oh, it's time to feel ashamed now. Yeah. Well, it's unconscious. It just happened because you're not aware of actually like what's happening in your body. But if you fall in the street and like scanning your body before, like, and don't let the thoughts of you should feel ashamed make his way through you, then you might not ending up feeling ashamed because you interrupt the process before it happened. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience of like not labeling. I thought I was not labeling things, but there's always a deeper way. You can always dig deeper and deeper. Because so far I was like, oh, okay, I feel this unpleasant sensation. It's painful. Pain is bad. And I was stuck in this at the level of like, oh, pain is bad. So I was trying like, okay, I'm feeling pain, but no, it's not bad. It's pain, but it can be good or bad. And this time I was like, oh, I have this sensation. It's painful. Is it painful? Oh, wait. Yeah, well, it's unpleasant. But it's not as painful as I thought it was when I paid close attention to. Yeah, that's the world of illusion in a way, that you jump to conclusion even before analyzing it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
We touched so many things, and everything connects so beautifully, as I said before. It's amazing with the whole circle of everything.
Yeah. I think we're gonna be forced to do another one at some point, sooner or later.
Yes, you have so many amazing things to say.
Yeah, I would love it.
Yeah. So thank you for everything, and just for the end, we invite you to do like a quick answers to the quick questions.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question, my favorite one.
Can I lie?
Yeah, of course.
You can do whatever you want. You're completely free. And you can also say, I don't want to answer. Okay.
No, I don't want to lie.
I know. Okay, my favorite question is, what advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
Or maybe 2014 when you started traveling. Before you went on the way.
That's an interesting... What is that? 7 years?
7, let's say.
Be proud of who you are, even of your weaknesses.
Nice.
One that is only for French people. What's your favorite pâtisserie and viennoiserie?
Oh, that's a very difficult one. There's so many.
From all the deep questions, you find this one difficult. I love it.
Yes.
It's easy to know what advice you would give yourself.
I love it.
I won't compare things who cannot be compared.
Wow. Maybe it's deep. Nice. Okay. What's the biggest skill to have in life?
Compassion.
Oh, you're my favorite answer. Oh my god. I love it. Oh, I love it.
So, imagine yourself living at one point of your life in a house or in a place or somewhere that you're like, this is my home. What's in that place one piece of furniture or a thing or a room or a place that you would like to create? What's your one thing that you have in mind that, I really wish to have this when I'm grown up? Or
heart room, like a room where you can express yourself through different media. So like a music studio, something to draw, some paper, some pen, some toys to play with.
Nice.
And invite people in this safe space for a few hours, and like just they could pick whatever they want and express themselves with.
Oh, beautiful.
We did once, we lived up in Aratangi, and we did
exactly
evening
that.
like this. Yeah, we put some music and put a place where you could dance, and we put some drawings and papers and everything so people could draw.
And then people brought instruments, they were playing, so it was expressing on all the levels, and people were cooking. So they were expressing and cooking and drawing and dancing and music. And it was just art, everything was art.
Yeah.
It was
At the end, the police had to come and stop the party.
Stop expressing yourself, guys!
Guys,
you're very loud.
You're threatening the normality here.
No, but I had because I want to live in a tiny house or in a bus, so it might not be possible in this bus. But once I have a land, I was thinking about it, but like the mystery school really brought me the answer. A yurt. Once you have a land, you just put a yurt.
Exactly. We lived in a yurt, so we did this in a yurt. I wanted to ask you this. What is your biggest vision? Like, what's your wildest dream? What do you want to do in life before you die?
I think, having a piece of land when people can come and feel safe and like just go with the flow and gardening or cooking or...
Nice.
I want to take care of people. And so I have to take care of myself first. And I would love basically having a piece of land where I could grow most of my own food. And basically people are facing doubts about are a bit lost in their life, could just sleep in a tiny house or in a tent or whatever in the garden and have like escape for a little while there on this crazy world and just find a place of peace where you have good food, you have open communication with human, and you can just show your weaknesses to everybody, where you can be nobody basically, and everybody, yeah. And I would love running this place, running a place like this was like I still have to make a living but like as cheap as possible, being able to give good food to people and advising people and sharing my experience of what I've gathered, all the experience I gathered during my travels, or my life, not only my travels, but sometimes going back home was also a very good teaching. Somewhere in nature where people can have good, positive experience about life and just let go.
That's a beautiful mission. I love it.
So for the last one,
who are you?
a simple. No,
just a simple question.
So when you look at how we raise children in our society right now, what do you not agree with, and what would you do differently, basically? What is one thing that you would change about raising children in the society? Basically, you grew up, that's the only one you know.
I already know what I want to answer, just searching the competition. the always giving marks to
The
children,
rewards,
like
the punishments.
exactly, and labeling people are like you're smart, you're not. Because basically it's just teach you that you're in competition with everybody, then you would suppress yourself, and you will, it teach you like
everybody's against you.
Yeah, you just need to do whatever you need to do to be on the top, and whatever it takes, and which is sometimes just disrespecting, crushing others, disrespecting others. It's like, are you at the top or you're at the bottom, and there's nothing in between.
And you're forced to do things you don't even want to do just because somebody says this is the good thing, like this is the mark or whatever you're fighting
Exactly,
for.
and that you have to make your way to the top, and if you're not making your way to the top, then you're gonna be a loser. And I think it's lead people to like the vision of power is like, oh, I want to have, it leads children to think, oh, I want to have power over people rather than I want to have power with other people. Yeah, I really like this fast answer. Like, because it's a simple question and because I'm not thinking too much.
Yeah, do you want more?
Oh yeah, it's okay. No. Well, if you have more, but otherwise.
No.
Yeah, it's
No,
just about perfect.
The last one.
Yeah. Then I would like to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Sim. You told us so many incredible things. I can't wait to listen to it again, really.
Yeah. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Love you.
Thank you to remind me that even if you don't see it, the light in ourselves is always here. You just like blow on myself to remove the clouds, and like
Nice.
I feel so much better than before we started.
I'm so happy. Thank you.
I hope everybody listening as well.
Yeah. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening. Love
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.